So here we have a table that shows the frequencies of these 3 different f-stops in these 2 different Lightroom catalogs here. And I'm just going to make a bar graph that shows the distribution of the number of photos in each of these Lightroom catalogs for each of these f-stop values. And we're going to use the f-stop values here as our categories, which are going to go onto the x-axis or horizontal portion of the bar graph. So the first thing I'm going to do is highlight the entire table by just clicking and dragging. And I'm going to come over here up top to the column, and I'm going to choose this one right here, which is the stacked column. And so right away we can see that it's given us this graph that shows we have on the categories we have F4, F8, F11, and over here we have our frequencies of the number of photos that are at that f-stop, and the colors are for each catalog. So this one actually turned out pretty nice. A lot of the times you have data where you don't want it. So up here we have switch row column data. So like let's say we click that and now it's all messed up. We don't really want it this way. So what you can do is you can hit that again, and sometimes that'll bring it back to where we want it. But let's say it's really out of whack and not the way we want it at all. Just right click, or if you're on a Mac, you just use 2 fingers and click on the touchpad in this kind of white space down here, and you go to select data, and here you can see your series elements, which are going to be what shows up in your legend right here, and that's going to be for a graph like this, the different colors that you have in your stack. And then here your category labels are right here, and in this case now our graph is messed up. We want it the other way that it originally put it in, and we just have these 2 categories which are both Lightroom catalogs, and that can be seen here. So the way you change this is the first thing we have to do is change our category labels, and in order to do that we just click this button right here, and now this pops up and it allows us to choose a section on our data table for that value. So all we do is select these values here and we hit enter, and a return on Mac, and now we have that set up so the F numbers are now our category labels. And if I hit OK again here, you can see it changed it, but it's still not correct. So we got to go back to select data, and now we want to make sure that we only have 2 of these category labels. So we need to make our series, instead of being these F numbers here, we're just going to kind of highlight one and then hit this minus button, hit the minus button. Now we have 1 left. We can even just start fresh, and you're gonna hit this add button here. You get series 1. You don't have to worry about the name, because all you do is click the name section right here, and then you're gonna highlight what you want to be one of your series values, which is this. So now we just have just that box highlighted, and you can see the code for it pops up right there, and we hit enter, and now we need to plug in the Y values for it, which tells us how tall that particular bar has to be. So you click this, and then that's just going to be all the values under it, and then you hit either this button here, you hit enter or return again, and there is our first series. And then we're going to go ahead and add and do the same thing for the second box over here. So we're going to click Lightroom Catalog 2, enter or return, and then we're going to go Y values, drag over this area, get all 3 of those values in there, hit enter again, and now you see we have our 2 series and I guess I have to plug in the category labels again, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And it's going to be those 3 right there. And now you can see that it's given us a data range, which should basically be the whole chart. And we have our 2 series, we have our horizontal labels, and if I hit OK, there we have the graph we were looking for in the beginning. And this is how I would make a graph for a table like this. There's more than one way to do it, and depending on what kind of data you're looking at, it might be the opposite way or it may be this way. So then we just want to make sure that we label our axis. So you just come up here and you go you're going to make a vertical label, a horizontal label, and those will kind of, those will depend on, what you're doing or the particular data you're looking at. So I'm just going to put in some, I'm not going to put those in, but, so you would label here and label there, and then you have your legend down here. You can move it around, you can add a chart title, but that's essentially how you make a graph like this. So for our next type of graph here, we're going to do a line graph to kind of show that this is linear. It's pretty obviously linear because as you go up in number of cars, you're going to get the same number of tires each time, unless the car doesn't have 4 tires, which I suppose is possible, but we're going to assume that each car has 4 tires. So in order to do this, we're going to go ahead and highlight the whole table again by clicking and dragging. Come over to insert, insert, and then we're going to go to the XY scatter here. And you can choose one of these. You can choose a smooth line without points, or no lines with points, or both. I'm just going to go ahead and do both. Depending on what you're doing, this will be different. But there is our graph, and this actually is correct if we needed to kind of switch things around. So this is actually showing us right here, as one car has 4 tires, 2 cars have, there's going to be 8 tires, and so on. If we needed to move this around, we would do the same thing as last time, where you kind of right click in the blank area down here, go to select data, and now we can see that our series this time is just tires because we only have one column of data. And if you were to, so here we can see we have from 19 to 24 are our X values, and that's exactly right here. And our Y values are also from 19 to 24. So because we're looking at, here's our X values and here's our Y values. So you can go ahead and also switch the row and column here, and now this, this kind of screws up the graph. We want it the other way. But the switch row column is a useful button if it's just absolutely reverse from what you want. Otherwise, you can go ahead and do the same procedure as last time, where you click these buttons here and you select different values in the table to get the graph you want. And then you just are going to want to add your chart elements, make sure the title's right, because we don't want it to say just tires. Make a vertical and horizontal, and if you have more than one line, make a legend. And sometimes you're going to want to make a legend even if you have one line, depending on what kind of data you have.